Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA, episode 211. I am Brendan. Rizin versus Bellator. The crossover event featuring AJ McKee versus Roberto de Souza, Patricio Pitbull versus Kleber Koike. I'm going to cover the whole main card here. If you like MMA, you like podcasts about MMA, you like fight breakdowns, we're going to do all that stuff here. Subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. Let's get started. This one's weird, all right? Please subscribe. This one's weird. So this event, it went down on New Year's Eve. I know I'm a little later than I normally would be. But anyway, this one went down on New Year's Eve. The fights were interesting, to say that they're weird, kind of boring. I think AJ McKee had a fun fight. All the Bellator fighters ended up winning this. Spoiler alert here. If you're looking for a fight, a specific breakdown of a fight on the main card, the timestamps are down below. So AJ McKee ends up beating Roberto de Souza via decision. Spoiler alert, all these fights were decision. Honestly, I felt like the matchups were fun. I felt like they did a good job, putting their best against their best and all that other stuff. All the buildup was fun. Everything was great. There was nothing, and I felt the intros were real good. The presentation, the quality, all that stuff, awesome. I mean, Mario Ronaldo and John McCarthy, I think their modern state is slightly out of place with the presentation style that Rizin is doing. It's still very throwbacky to Pride, and they mentioned Pride quite a bit during this. Also, special shout out here to Jason Herzog, reffing every single main event fight. I don't know if he did every prelim fight. Also, it's very difficult to find the prelims. You have to subscribe to this weird Fight Plus, FIT Plus thing, and then you have to pay for the pay-per-view to watch that one. But if you have Showtime, you get to watch the main card, but you don't get to watch the rest of the Rizin card. It's really freaking weird. Even though there were Bellator fighters on that, or American fighters on that, I don't know, man. Really weird. I'm going to try to dig it out, and I'm going to try to put together a prelim video. It was just, I was having a real issue trying to even subscribe to that thing and get it to go through and watch it in the U.S. So if you guys know of a way to do it, let me know. I would love to actually watch the event. All right, let's talk about this fight itself, shall we? AJ McKee just dominated it from start to finish, pillar to post, blah, 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 all those things. McKee got on top in the first round. He didn't do a ton of damage in this first round, but it didn't matter. Roberto de Souza really wasn't able to do anything either. Is there a video of it? Oh, there is. Okay, good. AJ did land a jumping knee. Souza was standing his ground, and he was swinging really well. He just actually, I was wrong. AJ did not dominate the second round. Souza was, standing there. He wanted to bang and do all that stuff. It's just, everybody was just outclassed in this. It felt like, it really feels like Rizin, if this is their best and they have competitive fights, but they all feel outclassed in those divisions. I don't know if this was the best way to do these matchups. And if it was, it's really a showing it's for Bellator and how much further advanced they are compared to Rizin. So McKee, in the second round here, AJ actually landed a left kick to the body that Souza did not like, and he ends up dropping back and going down to the ground. McKee got out. They were playing around on the ground a little bit. Souza wanted to do that, I think. And then McKee ends up getting out. He landed some really nasty damage on the ground to Souza, including a soccer kick to the head. So, something I didn't mention at the top here, we were allowed, they were allowed to do any strikes to the head. So 12-6 elbow, foot stomp, head stomps, soccer kicks, knees to the head, all the time. It was great. I would have loved to have seen more of that stuff. We just didn't. Here was the soccer kick moment, I think, if this plays out right. Yep. All right. I think he scoots out of here. It does go on a little bit longer than I'd like it to. He gets out of it. There he goes. And then this is the only moment. Hey, look at that. Soccer kick to the head. Okay, cool. So that's what I'm saying is like we had a couple moments in these fights that were fun. We had a couple moments where there was drama as far as, someone actually getting finished because there were none in this main card. But other than that, AJ went for a Darce in the third round. Souza was starting to get real sloppy. Oh, my bad. It was the third round that I thought Souza won. Sorry. Yeah, it's like I'm looking through my notes now. Souza went for a guillotine, but he was so tired he couldn't get it done. There was he landed 2 left hands on AJ. AJ looked kind of tired in this last round. Souza took the back and he was backpacking, going for a rear naked choke. He didn't get it in this last round, but hey, it was something, and it was better than what he had put forth in the previous rounds. Again, so I had a 29-28. The first 2 rounds I gave to McKee, and it's not that D'Souza didn't look like he belonged in there at all. It's just, I don't know. You guys tell me. Do you guys felt like something was off watching this main card? It felt like something was off. Like these Rizin fighters, and maybe it's just that Bellator fighters, like these 5 fighters just matched up really well against these 5 Rizin fighters. And there was just no way that we were going to see anything match up really well as far as being able to get easy wins, not well as making entertaining fights, because I don't think any of them were overly entertaining. I don't think they were overly boring either. I think I thought there was plenty of action. It just, there wasn't a lot of high drama. There wasn't a lot of crazy things that were going on. They were very by the numbers, by the book MMA fights, right? Standard punches, standard kicks. And for the most part, that would be fine. But they had an opportunity to do like knees to a grounded opponent. They had an opportunity to do like head stomps. And like there was a couple fighters who attempted those things. And one guy, it just didn't have that spice that I was looking for, that I was really hoping for in an event like this. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you thought. I was not overly impressed with the overall. Again, it's not like I don't feel like the concept was bad. I don't feel the concept was bad. I don't feel that Rizin has bad fighters or Bellator versus Rizin is a bad idea. It's just these 5 fights did not deliver. Put it that way, right? You're going to have that. Okay. Moving on here. Patricio Pitbull. Patricio Pitbull taking on Kleber Koike. Koike? Oh, good grief. Anyway, Pitbull wins a decision. This is the only one where I kind of had a problem with the overall decision. I would like to see some of the stats on this one. I just, you know how Bellator is. It's not public information. Kleber was using kicks to keep distance. He was moving back pretty much the entire fight. Pitbull was trying to walk forward, and he was having issues finding openings. In this first round, I honestly didn't know who won because Kleber got the volume. He did, and he was backing up. And this is one of those fights where you're listening to John McCarthy and Mario Ronaldo, and you're listening to them, and they're talking like it's a blowout. It wasn't. Pitbull was moving forward, but he didn't land anything significant in this first round. He got stabbed and poked to death. And yeah, like I said, he was moving forward, but moving forward in and of itself is not worth points if you're getting outstruck. So I actually gave that first round to Kleber. Pitbull was moving forward in the second round. I still felt like he got outlanded, but Pitbull did land a decent right hand, and some good leg kicks in this round. So this second round was pretty close as far as overall performance, but I probably watching it back, I would give it to Pitbull. I understand. Like Kleber, on the other hand, like wasn't getting blown out. I just could not stand the commentary. They were talking like, "Oh, he's outclassed on the feet." Yes, right. He looked uncomfortable on the feet, and he was backing up the entire time, and he wasn't landing the big shots. It doesn't matter if you're outlanding your opponent and he's not landing on you, like it happened in the first round. So in this round, I give it to Pitbull. Then Kleber ended up pulling guard in this last round. Pitbull exits. Kleber landed a couple front kicks and was worked his way into a takedown, but they got right back up. But this last round, Kleber just spent too much time on his back. He probably spent like 3 minutes on his back with Pitbull kicking him, kicking at his legs. Not the most interesting thing. Oh yeah, that moment was really weird. Like they went for an entry and he just throws him to the ground. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like Kleber was putting together like these 5-piece combos, and Pitbull wasn't landing anything in there. Like that, like Pitbull landed nothing. Like if you watch these highlights, if you were to tell me, so right there, Pitbull landed a good one. I just, I think that there's a misconception, not a misconception. There's clear favoritism when it comes to Bellator announcers. I've been very open about this, very blunt, and I think that it spilled over into this event. It definitely was most apparent in this fight because I feel like this one was the closest one, although the first one was pretty close too. Takeda was a pretty close fight as well. Although that wasn't the split decision. The split decision went to the next event, I think. Oh no, the Kim fight was a split decision. It was very, like I said, very weird night of fights. All right, let's move on to the next guys, shall we? Hiromasa Ougikubo versus Kyoji Horiguchi. Again, I was expecting freaking fireworks, and I didn't get it, man. I didn't get it. There was one moment in this fight. That he landed, that Kyoji landed a left hook. But that was pretty much it as far as excitement goes. Like Kyoji used leg kicks to start the fight. There's, the biggest shots in this first round were 3 leg kicks by Horiguchi. He landed a low kick and a right hand to put Ougikubo down at the end of the first round. That was a really good way to end the first round. So obviously a 10-9 for. Oh, that's right. He almost finished it at the end of the first round here. Kyoji locked up a back body lock, and eventually got a slam in the second round. And then Ougikubo got on top after, getting a reversal, but he didn't really do any damage. So I gave that second round to Horiguchi as well. And then in this last round, Horiguchi landed a left hook that you couldn't see on the broadcast. You had to wait till the goddamn replay because it was so zoomed out that he lands that left hook right on the button, puts him down, and that was how you started the third round. And the thing is, like, it was so zoomed out you couldn't see it on the broadcast. So, like, the one real exciting moment in that fight, and you couldn't even freaking see it. It was just kind of disappointing. In this last round here, I had Horiguchi just, obviously, after that, Ougikubo didn't do anything for the rest of the fight, to be honest with you, so I gave it to Horiguchi. Sorry, guys, there was just not a lot of exciting stuff. We're just, we're going matter-of-factly on a lot of these. It's because there's not a lot to break down. There's not a lot of controversy either. Souza Kim versus Juan Archuleta. This fight did go the distance. No, they all did. I already told you at the top of this. They all went the distance. Juan Archuleta ends up getting the split decision here. I didn't see it that way. We could talk about that one. Maybe we can get into that. I don't think so. I don't think it's that controversial or crazy. Juan landed a left hand, then a nasty right. He was staying tight and landing good hooks in this first round. Kim went for a standing guillotine choke, and he jumped on him, but Juan ended up waiting it out, and he dumped him. Kim didn't do any damage in this first round, but I guess if that's where you gave him credit was for that attempt, then maybe this was why it was a split decision, so they gave him that round. I just felt like, that choke wasn't close enough, and he didn't have it the whole time, so that's why I gave it to Archuleta. Juan got the takedown in the second round. He held him down. On the way up, he landed some decent elbows on Kim. Kim was doing some damage with some low kicks, but then he ends up getting taken down again. And then in the second round again, Archuleta doing enough damage to get the round. So I had him up 20-18. And then in the last round, Kim landed a hook to the body, and then Juan turned away from it. I don't know if it hurt him to the body, and Kim went for a guillotine, stayed on top. Herzog ended up standing him up really fast. Apparently, that's a Rizin thing. If there's no action on the ground where you're not advancing and you're just waiting, it's almost an immediate stand-up. No warnings. I prefer that because it's definitive, right? Then it's objective and not subjective. If you're not actively doing anything on the ground and then they immediately stand you up, I'm okay with that. Right? Because if you enter subjectivity, you can get a Dan Miragliotta who, through the course of one event, stands people up after 15 seconds or 30 seconds of ground relative inactivity after a warning of 10 seconds of inactivity right after the takedown. And then you have, even in that same fight, where he'll let someone sit on the ground for minutes before he stands them up. So that's where it's subjective, right? Where a guy thinks whether or not you're doing enough to stay on. Whereas if you're not doing anything, it's clearly a stand up, and if you're doing anything, you get to stay down on the ground. So that I'm more of a fan of. More of a fan of that because it's, like I said, it's definitive. Kim ended up Juan landed a switch knee to Kim on the, during Kim's takedown defense, so that was actually pretty cool in this third round. But Kim went for a front choke again, and I actually gave Kim the last round. I felt like he did do enough in there, just because he was the guy who it looked like he hurt Archuleta with that hook, and then he was going for the submissions, and Archuleta really didn't land too many big shots, except, like I said, that knee was pretty good. So I still gave it to Archuleta. I did not agree with the split decision. All right. We got the last fight, or the first fight on the main card here, which is Gadzhi Rabadanov versus Koji Takeda. All right. Gadzhi getting the win via decision. All right. I know this isn't I know this isn't the most exciting, and I'm not animated about this stuff, but there's nothing to be animated about. Like, it was just a paint by numbers MMA fight. There was some interesting moments in the first round, right? So Rabadanov landed a huge right hand that dropped him, and he was unstable. He ends up falling backwards. He fell down a second time in this first round. Takeda got back up. The knees were from Rabadanov were landing really well, and he landed another right hand. He did a ton of damage in this first round, right? I don't know if this is the second or first round, but we will watch it here. Oh, no, that was the first, right? Yeah, and then he went for that knee, and then he falls down because he's off balance here. Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that first round, that moment, the first round, was exciting enough. But then the rest of the fight was Takeda controlled the grappling. He did more damage in the second round. I felt like he had a really good recovery from the beating he took in the first round. Had it 19-19 going into the third. And then Takeda prevented the takedowns. He was landing a couple knees during his takedown defense. Rabadanov was the one going for the grappling offense, but I just felt like he was taking damage and he wasn't doing damage. Rabadanov landed a right hand going into the guard, and that might have won him this fight, right? I actually leaned towards Takeda for this fight. Like I said, most of these fighters, I felt like, Rizin just wasn't there. This one, again, I didn't feel like Rizin was super competitive. In that, like, I mean, it was because I felt like it was close. I don't know. Maybe I misspoke at the opening part, but Takeda, I felt like he did enough in this last round to maybe get the decision win. He just didn't. So I guess it is what it is. But I will tell you, this fight was interesting in the first round because of the action, and then after that, it was just a lot of nothing again, guys. There was just a lot of nothing, and I know, like I said, I'm sorry that I'm not getting up for this, and I'm sorry that I'm not, you know, um, losing my shit and getting all excited and woo, like I'm like all like over the moon for this crap. But there was very little that went on. Like there's so little to break down. So that is it. I am gonna try to find the prelims. Right, those the first few fights on from Rizin 40. I'm gonna try and find those. Subscribe to the channel so you see if that video comes out. I'm gonna try to find them and watch them and break them down. I will. But if I can't, the next event will be like for sure. I'll put a couple videos out next weekend. I know I took last weekend off, but it was the Christmas. I appreciate y'all for making it here and for making it this far. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Happy New Year, by the way. Happy New Year. I hope this year is better than your last year, regardless of how good your last year was. I hope you've had plenty of time to hang out with your family during the holidays. And I hope that when you go back to work, you don't have a huge like lag or hangover. Not literal hangover, just figurative hangover from all the time off. So I appreciate y'all. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Love y'all. Have an amazing week.